Now let's talk about the techniques of short-term economic forecasting. There are majorly six techniques, that is survey, indicator, input-output forecasting, diffusion index, economic model building, and opportunistic model building. So these are all techniques. So we will discuss it in detail. So what is survey? One of the technique of the short term economic forecasting, if we say, so it's survey. How is it done? It is done in two method, that is either you will have personal contact or you will prepare a kind of detailed questionnaire, because it is based upon the belief, intention and the future budgeting of the government. That is why, because of these three things, that is belief, intention and future budgeting of the government, this method is done through personal contact or through questionnaire. In personal contact method, conversation with the people regarding their particular intention to invest money by type of product and by type of industry in future are recorded, and then it is analyzed. And under questionnaire, if we see, so a form of filled like a form is filled by the people, and the purpose of this method is to have insight of the kind of activity in the economy, right? You must have seen that some newspapers and some news channels also do these kind of things at the time of the budget, that what are you expecting from the government, what is the limitation. That the limitation of survey method is that it is based on the observation of particular person and on an intention of the future. The intention may not be carried into reality, and this is why this, because it is not a real term, that is why we cannot say that it is absolutely perfect or not. Then comes indicator. Actually there are three major indicators which are shown, that is leading, lagging and coincidental. Okay, so what it does, actually it gives indication of the economic process through cyclical timing. Okay, so that is, you need to remember that it gives indication of the economic process through cyclical timing, and this technique provides indication of the future relating to business depression or business prosperity. This technique finds out leading, lagging and coincidental, that I told you, indicator, and this technique acts as a barometer, and this method gives the future indication of the economy, not an exact method of the finding out economic activity. It gives results, of course, approximately, because it gives three indicators. What are those three indicators? Leading, lagging and coincidental. It talks about either the business depression or the business prosperity. Then comes input output forecasting. What is input output forecasting? Actually it is generated as per the particular person has given some table, that is Leontief, and Leontief, that is input output table is developed. Actually it talks about that what all is produced and in what ways it is produced and what, how much is sale, that is based upon the sale. That, and it actually talks about the structural independence of the interdependence of the economic system, and it's what happens that it forecasts entire economy, and it is based on the accounting of the flow of goods and services in, of course, rupee term or currency term, wherever it is conducted. Okay, so because it is prepared on a matrix and table, then of course it is a complex process to be done. Now diffusion index, it is even more complex, but because what it does, that it is also known as census or composite index, because it combines all the different indicators. That is why, because it combines all the different indicators, that is why what we call as, we could say that it is a complex one. Though it talks about weaknesses and strengths of the particular time, but it is like in general terms it is a little bit difficult to use it. Okay, it talks about both micro and macro aspect, you should remember, because it is a detailed one that it talks about. Then economic model building. Actually this method is mathematical and statistical application to forecast the future trend of the economy. This technique is used to draw out relationship between independent and dependent variable, actually. Okay, and this process technique this is a process technique as it specifies a particular system and calculates the result through simultaneous equation, taking both endogenous variable and exogenous variable. So you should remember two things, that it talks about the interdependence of the like it talks about the variables, that dependent variable and independent variable, and how are these related. Interdependence related things are talked about the input output index. Do remember this. Now comes opportunistic model building. This technique is also known as sectoral analysis because it talks about the sectors. Sectoral analysis of gross national product, and actually this model building, this is mostly used technique of the economic forecasting. It uses national accounting data to be able to forecast the future short term period, and it is flexible and reliable method. So this opportunistic model building, you could say, is very important, and this technique finds out the total income of the total demand of the forecast period. Okay, it talks about the total income and total demand of the forecast period. Do remember, it is short term. Do remember, it is short term. Opportunistic model building is a short term. It is mostly used. It is sectoral analysis of the gross national product model building. Okay, so do remember all these. I hope I made it clear. I am telling you like in just one go. Let's try to tell you, just zooming it. Okay, so first I talked about the survey. Okay, survey related technique, that survey, and then indicator I talked about, and then I talked about input output forecasting. What did it do? Actually, there was some person, W. Lowenteef. They made a table, and in that table they were saying that output means how much sale is happening and what all inputs has been taken. And in diffusion index, they were they were using they were just trying to combine all that, combined all the particular indexes, indicators, and thereafter they were using. So that was a complex one. Okay, do remember, it was a complex one, and it was talking about the complete analysis. Okay, so that is also you need to remember. Okay, so next comes, that is economic model building. That was a mathematical and statistical technique. What it talked about, dependent variable and independent variable and their relation. Do remember that in composite index it is also called the diffusion index, it is also called as a census. Okay, then comes the opportunistic model, which is mostly used, and in opportunistic model it is also called sectoral analysis of the GNP, as it talks about that how the things are particular things are produced. Okay, so it is flexible, short term forecasting it does, and I hope you understood it really well. So this was done. Thank you. See you soon.